You boys know what's about to happen to you. You leave now.
Some consider these traits to be toxic, such as undesirable in the men of today. We consider these traits such as these not only to be desirable, but to be appreciated and celebrated. Welcome to the Toxic Male Appreciation Show, hosted by and La Reina Creole. Welcome to the safe space for the toxic male.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Lorena Creole, and of course, with me over here is my wing woman, her of positive fandom, and this, of course, is the Toxic Male Appreciation Show, where we appreciate you, you toxic males, that traditional masculine traits that a certain segment of Hollywood deems is problematic, but you're not problematic here. No, not at all. Am I right?
You are so right. We love our toxic males. We celebrate them. We appreciate them. We want them to know, which is why you asked me to do the show with you. Both you and I have the same sentiment. We reject modernity and embrace masculinity. And there's nobody I can think of who is as masculine as Joaquin Phoenix, the man who just feels like a wall, like a strong pillar. That is Joaquin Phoenix to me, Lorena.
Absolutely. I have seen him, and it seems like I've been watching him, or we probably have. It seems like we've been watching him forever on the stage and on screen. But I would have to say, with roles such as in can't believe I'm trying to play Gladiator, excuse me. Are you not entertained? With movies like Gladiator, which there is a sequel. Yes, I do know that sequel is being filmed, and Ridley Scott is coming back to direct that, so I'm very excited about that. But Joaquin Phoenix is going to be in that one as well. So without any further ado, and yeah, I'm running a little behind here. Usually I am more on point. Usually I'm more on point with this than I usually am. So y'all just gonna have to bear with me here.
Well, I remember he played an adorable kid in Space Camp. And I didn't realize that was him so many years ago, but he was so adorable. The cutest kid you've ever seen in your life. And Lorena, you have brought up my favorite role of his, which is the Joker, which I love dirty, gritty, dark New York 1970s. We're in a recession. The whole world's gone to shit. Nobody has enough money. Every time you ask for assistance, it's a no. And I just love dirty, gritty New York. This theme, this character that he played in that. He got an Academy Award also for that role you're seeing now as Ashton walked the line, and he was hot and sultry and seductive. And I was like, gee, June Carter Cash is a real lucky woman. Now, Lorena, what we're seeing is that the follow-up film that they're making? Or is that from another? Oh, someone else's comments about it, but there's supposed to be another one, right?
Oh, I'm sorry?
There's supposed to be another Joker follow-up, right?
So far as I've heard, I heard there was one. I think either they're still working on the script or it's just kind of floated out there. I don't know. In a way, I don't want them to make another one because the Joker, and we're going to talk about a little bit more, that film was just amazing. His performance in that was amazing. And you went from like, who wants to really know anything about the Joker's origin story? But you get sucked into it because his performance is so good. The writing is so good that by the end of the film, you're just like, no wonder he turned into what he turned what he turned into.
Absolutely, Lorena. And I think when I see the Joker, I think it's the perfect example of, has everything ever been said about the Joker? And the answer is no. If you throw in Joaquin Phoenix into the mix, he's capable of doing so much with a character. If it's the right setting, if he has the levity for it. This was like the performance of a lifetime. I mean, it felt like a stage performance. It felt like you were watching him in some kind of play on Broadway or on the West End, where, you're doing this deep character study of what's going on. And the story was enjoyable to watch. And every time he had a setback, it was just like, oh, another dig, another setback. And it was just really that development. That's what we want to see. We want to see complicated characters. We also want to see actors who can pull off a role that is believable as this. I believed he was this man in 1970 with the these leisure suits, these polyester leisure suits, and his dream was to be a clown, and just having all this trouble. Even his body, he put himself under this physical change that we know Joaquin Phoenix does not physically look like that, but he made himself. I don't know whether there was CGI, but I have a feeling that it wasn't. I have a feeling it was him.
I think he did. He purposely slimmed himself down like this, because I remember this was like a big deal that he was so committed to the role that he did that. And man, I tell you, just when he was talking to, like his caseworker, and it was such a great analogy for the failures of treatment for mental health for those who need it. It was just wow. I mean,
it was amazing, Lorena. The supporting cast with Bobby De Niro in it as as a Johnny Carson-esque style character, or I can't remember the guy who was on before him, but any one of those old time late night show hosts who has this other guy who's a performer. Comedians used to come on to these shows all the time, and they get their big break being on Johnny Carson, or I guess now, what would it be? David Letterman maybe afterwards. And then the other guy, the really cute Irish guy whose name I can't remember, but
oh my gosh.
him. And that
was it Craig Ferguson?
Something like that. Yeah, Craig Ferguson was another one, right? And that's how it was a dream. That's how it was for a lot of these comedians. They would do shows, and then their big break a lot of times would be getting that late night spot where they could come out and talk and do jokes. And this was his dream. He's legitimately wanted to entertain. Let me entertain you, Lorena. As you said, it's very funny how he, wants to do this so badly, and he doesn't have an audience, but he finds an audience. And the audience are all these frustrated people, very much a predictor, I think, of how today is. People who are just frustrated, they've had enough. And, no one deserves to be treated this way. No one deserves to be abused this way. Every little thing that he has, which is so little, they just took everything from him, even, his mother and her condition. And it was just, I felt good when he grabbed his mother's file. Like he went for it. It's like,
he just grabbed it and ran. And we're just like, that's right. You grab it and go, because we've seen the hell that he has gone through in this film, and Joaquin Phoenix portrays it just so well. So we're just like, we don't blame. We're not saying that we agree, but we understand.
You need to know for a number of reasons, because he's built his life on a let's say stuff that wasn't true, and he needed to know the truth, and he especially needed to know because he's concerned about himself and his mother. There's a lot of things he was concerned about, and that he was told and thought was the case. And so he grew up as a character who thought he knew who he was and where he came from in his family history. And it was a little different from that, Lorena. I think there have been strict laws, like you can't go ahead and get information when you need it, and I think even the makeup, to be honest with you, I do love Heath Ledger's Joker, but Joaquin, this one is my favorite one. I think Joaquin added this gruffiness and this everyday man feeling to it, where, he's trying to make an honest living. He's a good man, and this broke him. Like he got broken, and he didn't deserve it. The guys at the comedian place were horrible. It was just a typical kind of thing. Like, who the hell are you? It was awful what he had to endure in a place that they were supposed to be entertaining children, making them happy. That's not the kind of setting that you would think. And then, people didn't have his back. He kept getting beat up. This was the type of abuse that people were putting up with. And, at the end, when he becomes this sort of celebratory kind of character with everybody wanting to be like him and just pushing back against the abuse, pushing back against the recession and no one getting everything they need. I just thought it was a very interesting study of, just how people felt at that time as well during those dark days in New York. It was just remarkable interpretation. And Joaquin brings it home so many times. He likes the girl across the street who's beautiful, this beautiful girl across the street. And he wants so bad to impress her too. He wants to have love in his life. And I think that was important too, for him to be able to be, even if it was a fantasy or not, it's up for interpretation, but he wants to be with somebody. He wants to have a relationship. He wants to be in love. He wants all the same things that we all want. And at each step of the way, he was deprived of all those things. What an incredibly impressive performance. And Bobby just kind of breaking him down was just like, oh, no. Just amazing how Joaquin so it was like a one-man show because it was so much focus on him, Lorena. I will never forget this performance of his. I think it really is, something, it almost like the mime that could talk, if you will. He's just remarkable in this. And I love every single minute of it. I just really love this performance. It's my favorite Joker of all time.
I agree. Heath Ledger, one of my pushbacks from this was just like, well, you can't really top Heath Ledger's Joker. Heath Ledger's Joker was more of I would say, comedic but sadistic edge to it. But we weren't really meant to understand who he was, even when he regales his tales of, why so serious. It's not. We don't want to lean in and learn about him because we really haven't given a reason to. Because that's what they're trying to figure out in The Dark Knight. Why is it that he does what he does? And couldn't really get an answer. Like Alfred said it best, some people just like to see the whole world burn, and we weren't getting answers. But with this portrayal of the Joker, because we see him from the beginning, and Joaquin Phoenix does this perfectly when he's on the bus and all of a sudden he breaks out into like this laughter and he has these cards that he hands out. It's just like, oh man, to have to live like that. And then one scene, which, yeah, y'all should have seen the movie by now, but I thought it was great because you remember when he kept getting beat up, and I think it was only the short guy. Yeah, I called him a midget. I think he was the only one. He was just like, you can't let these people kick you, beat you up like Arthur. Look what they do to me. It's like, bigger than me. You can't let them push you around. And then when he basically winds up killing most of them, he's shaking. He's like, nah, it's okay, dude. You've always been nice to me. You get it.
Yeah.
Like to be that guy, I didn't know he was like that. But again, his performance, man, I'm telling you, if anyone else had played the Joker, I don't think anyone would have really paid attention to it that much. But I loved his performance in that, which reminds me, I need to get Joker watched on Blu-ray. But to kind of skip around here to Joaquin's filmography, so to speak, I do remember this movie.
Yeah, this is a great film, and this is very real to me. I thought this could actually happen. Maybe it can, but I like in my mind, I'm like, this can happen. I accidentally pressed the button, and it's a launch that they were not expecting, and I love it. And Joaquin Phoenix has to go along for the ride. He's just a child. How much fun is this? Everybody wanted to be in this. Like, this is the coolest thing ever. It's absolutely, these are the types of fun films that they would make for us as children in this time period. And we got to experience this and have fun and go along for the ride. And it was wonderful. It was a wonderful time. This is the type of movie making level or quality that we're expecting from Hollywood. Mm-hmm. This is what we're expecting. Give us these fantasies where we can enjoy ourselves. I'm tired of crying. I'm tired of I want to have fun. I want to see kids have just these fun adventures. Let them go ahead and go on another space adventure. It's time for another space camp, Lorena. It's time.
I would love that. I mean, this movie, I was like, I want to go to space camp so bad. Then I saw how much it was. Parents weren't paying for me to go, so
Aw.
this was one of the movies that I had in the back of my mind, so that when I finally got to work as a grad student out at NASA, I kept thinking about this movie and looking, I'm like, that doesn't look like what's space camp, you know? And this was so the part of this movie became a part of so many other films. Like, yeah, I got goals. I want to go to space camp. I forget which movie it was where they were trying to save up money to go to space camp or something like that. I forget the name of it. But this was one of those just fun, feel good. Wow, what if this actually happened? And you had to go into, you had to go in this space. So yeah, this is a good one. This is a really good family movie, folks. You should check that one out.
Oh, it was so good. And, stars Leah Thompson and Kelly Preston, also Cape Capshaw. Kelly Preston, I think, married, what's his name? John Travolta, I think. And,
Yes.
and of course, Joaquin Phoenix went on to become a huge star as well. Many of the people in this film became huge stars. It was a launcher of careers for so many people already in the business and wanting to have his there. Aww.
He's so little.
Such
Oh
a
my gosh.
just a little cutie, I mean, it really does. He had so much personality in it, and he was very worried. You remember how worried he was? He
Mhm.
had a little bit of, I'd say he had a little bit of anxiety, and he was very worried. It was like the weight of the space program was on this poor boy's shoulders. That's what it felt like. Of all the people on the mission, I think the older kids were much more relaxed, and he was nervous. He was scared at times, and they helped him. I think it was very interesting, the dynamic. Of course, he's going to be frightened and wonder why this is happening. So but it is amazing to see them looking out the window and seeing that space shuttle go up with the kids in it, and they're like, oh my God, like it's just so much fun. The adventure, the fantasy of it all. There he is with his robot.
Mhm.
It's just, that's what this is all about, this adventure that you all have dreams about. And when space exploration was fun and cool, and going up was really felt like it wasn't going to stop. It felt like the program would continue on, Lorena. It
Mhm.
really did.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we're gonna move from that movie to another movie, which is one of my favorites, and that would be Parenthood. This movie, it was like your quintessential, again, 80s film, kids in the suburbs, parents who didn't really know what they were doing, but trying to know what they were doing, and kids trying to figure out what their place, in life is. And it was such a fun, I don't want to say completely realistic, but it was a relatable, very relatable film. Ron Howard directed it. I think this is
Mhm.
one of his first ones or one of the early ones that he started directing. And this was just a blast to watch, I remember.
It was a very special film, and Steve Martin and his wife, Mary Steenburgen, in the movie,
Mhm.
are just like any other parents. He's got, I think, Steve Martin's sister. It lives with them. Does she live with them?
I
And
think so.
she's, I guess, divorced or in the middle of a divorce, and her son, was it her son, or I can't remember if it was her son or whether it was um the girl was her daughter. But it was just so wonderful to see the dynamic of how, yeah, I think it was her daughter, was played by I can't remember that actress's
Oh
name.
man, I can't believe that was
Uh-huh.
Keanu Reeves. I forgot he was in this.
And Keanu Reeves is the daughter's husband. Like, he becomes the daughter's husband. And
Mhm.
there's this big thing that happened. And of course, there's the sister there mashing the potatoes. Keanu Reeves becomes the daughter's husband, and he gets into this accident, and the girl's like, this is too intense. I can't handle this. And the mother's like, you can't run away from this. This is your husband. You have to go and find out if he's
Mhm.
okay. And it was just so cool to see stuff going on that way. And they asked Keanu Reeves to speak to, I believe, River Phoenix. It may not have been River Phoenix, but Joaquin Phoenix. I keep saying River Phoenix. They asked Keanu Reeves, I think, to speak to him because he had some questions about something. Was it say? I can't read it, but
Let me see
It
if I
was
can find him.
the dynamics between the characters in
There
this
it goes.
entire family. Yeah, he asks. I think he kind of looks up to the boy, and it is very interesting how he looks up to him, and he asks him questions, just like normal questions about sex, about different things. And so they're like, so what did the mother's like, well, what did he say to you? And River Phoenix, I'm sorry, Joaquin Phoenix was asking him, is it okay to like jerk off? Essentially, that's what I think he was saying. And Keanu Reeves goes, yeah, he says, I told him that's what little boys do. That's what boys do when they grow up, like when they become men. But I just like thought to myself, what a daring thing to say in a film. You're not going to hear that every day. You're not going to hear anybody talk about that. There's also a scene where the mother, they find her vibrator, like the vibrator. And of course, it's her brother who finds the damn vibrator. That's like,
of course,
worse. That's worse. Like, it could be anybody, but if it's your brother who finds that, it would be like, oh my God, I'm going to die. And it did feel that way, but that's okay. These are different things that happen in a family. They didn't shy away from different things like that. They didn't shy away from the daughter, like cutting off her hair, suddenly just because she could. And the mother's like, what are you doing? He's like, we've all done this. Like all of us have done what she did. But it's just really a lot of fun to see the relationships in this. And this was a complex story with complex situations, adult situations, that happen in a family. There's even one scene where, and this might be my favorite one, where Mary Steenburgen tells Steve Martin, he's like, I'm so tense lately. And she says, well, should I do something to relax you? Essentially what she does is she gives him a blowjob while he's driving. And he gets into an accident, and
I remember that.
The police officer can see that both of them are, they're not drunk. Like they just got into this accident. So the police officer's line says, well, can you tell me how all this happened?
Yes, I do remember that.
So I think that was, they really did want to explore a family that, like a sexually active family that loves each other, but they are a normal family, and sex was in it. So I think that was kind of very interesting for them to do that, and to still raise the kids who are watching what's going on. There's River Phoenix kind of, looking around, just a little boy. Obviously, yeah, I think he was the lady's son. I can't remember the mother's name, but that's a brother and sister there, I think. And it was just a lovely story, Lorena, and he played that role so well too. In that.
Yeah, I remember that. He was just it's what check it out, Parenthood. Again, Keanu was in it. Good blast back to the 80s. So this movie, I can't believe I have not seen it. I'm embarrassed that I never got a chance to see it, especially considering Joel Schumacher directed it. And that would be 8mm. Have you seen this film?
I have not seen this film, no.
It is just one of these films. A private investigator is hired to discover if a snuff film is authentic or not. And I take that back. I think I watched part of it, but I don't think I watched it all the way to the conclusion. And I did not know that Joaquin Phoenix was in this. So you can see Nicolas Cage. This was the Nicolas Cage era where it seemed like he was in so many films. And then over there's Joaquin Phoenix over to the left, looking more like what we're accustomed to seeing him as now. So one of those dramatic thrillers, I want to say, not as, how would you describe the movie Seven? I would say it's not as I don't want to say gory, but yeah, I will. Not as gory as Seven, but kind of with that same idea of there is this area that you're descending into that it's just like, this is just so freaking, just so messed up.
Yeah, I wish I had seen the film so I could comment on it, but I don't honestly, I don't know much about it.
Yeah, like I said, I only saw like a little bit of it, but he basically has to find out if this 8mm film is real or not, considering that it's a snuff film. Basically, people, you're getting yeeted on film to find out if that is true or not. So I may have to put this sucker back on my list, list to watch to find out what happened. So Joaquin Phoenix was in that one. Now this next movie that Joaquin Phoenix was in, I'm glad that I didn't watch it because apparently this movie was so darn bad that M. Night Shyamalan's name was pretty much verboten for a while. And that would be The Village.
I saw this film and I liked it. So I don't know. This was not what I considered one of his first worst films. He has made some that I didn't like, but this one I liked a lot. In this film, I didn't remember Joaquin Phoenix was in this one. Because I always associate him with the one with the glasses, where it's like water. But I didn't know he was in The Village. And in the movie, it's really about a group of people who decide to live an alternative lifestyle. And while they're living this alternative lifestyle, what happens is there's a tragedy that requires modern technology. But they've lived their entire lives isolated in this village. And they know that there's something on the outside, but they don't know how to get to what is needed in order to save someone's life. So that's the entire movie. That's it. That's what happens, the plot. And I think you would like it. I think you would like this film, to be honest with you. And Joaquin Phoenix ends up, what's really interesting about this is that he's the one whose life they're trying to save, is Joaquin Phoenix's life.
Really?
Yeah, you'd like this film. You would like this. If you liked what was it called? The one with Bruce Willis. If you like that film, you like this one.
The Sixth Sense?
Yes.
Oh, well,
that
is
Solomon, right?
That is my all-time favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie. I have not seen Unbreakable yet. Yes, I know. I
love Unbreakable.
I know. People say great things about Unbreakable. I know. I haven't seen it yet. Some
I think you would like
that's the best one.
I think you would like this one, Lorraine. I want you to watch it, when you get a chance, and let me know. I could be wrong, but I think you might like this one. This is not one of his bad ones, in my opinion. He's had other ones where I've looked at it and said, nah. And it starts with an O and ends in a D. That's the one I'm talking about, where it was not presented correctly. It was supposed to be scary, but in the end, you were just like, what am I doing in this theater? So,
was that a really recent one?
Yes. I'm
okay.
But I don't watch that one.
Okay. Yeah, I saw trailers for that, and I'm kind of like, okay. All right.
Elite.
I don't know about that one.
You'll like this one. You'll like this one.
Okay. Cool. So
I liked his performance in this. I'd forgotten he was in it, and I realized one of the persons in it is Ron Howard's daughter, whose name I can't remember.
Bryce Dallas. And
she's in this, and she's the one who has to go outside and try and save Joaquin Phoenix. And I'm not going to say any more than that.
Okay.
Anything else, because I want you to watch it and get back to me and tell me what you think. Joaquin doesn't give a bad performance in anything, pretty much. He does exactly what the director asks him to do. So, I did want to mention that, as far as I'm concerned, he was really great in this.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you'd like it.
I'll have to put that one. I'll have to put that one on. I'll have to put that on the list. So there's another movie that I did see Joaquin Phoenix in, because once you make it big at one point in time, you had to do a voiceover in a Disney movie.
I have not seen Nature Calls. What did you think of it?
One is let's see, Nature Calls. I saw the original Brother Bear. I saw that one. No, yeah, I did see this one. Yeah, I did see this one. Brother Bear. Yeah. I thought it was a really good I thought it was a good story. I really did think that it was a good story. It was environmental without the enviro-wankery. You know what I mean? It's like it was very, straightforward, had more of a conservationist type of message,
Oh,
and it was cute with
conservationist?
the
And I
bear.
would like that.
Yes, I thought it was very, understanding about sustainability, in a good way. Like there's certain balances that need to be, that need to be preserved. So one of the things that I'm not going to say stereotypical. I'm going to say one of the things that is very common, especially with hunter-gatherer societies, is that you're not hunting just to hunt. That's why European fur trappers, they would kind of look down on, like, you're just getting things just for the fur and just leaving the carcass there. But with those particular societies, I know especially with the Seminole Society, when you're hunting, you're using everything. You're not hunting just for sport. You're hunting because the tribe needs to be fed, and that's why you go and why you do it. You're not doing it just, again, just for sport, just to take the skins or the pelts, and that's it. So
That makes
I
that's
thought
a
this was
very
fun.
that's a very good point, and that is something that I think may not be realized by many people, especially the kind of newer generations. They may not be aware that whilst that mass trapping and hunting for pelts and stuff was going on, while that was happening, the animals were being wasted. The tissue of the animals was just thrown in the garbage. So, that's not really how any hunter gatherer groups function. As you said, Lorraine, they use every single bit for everything. So nothing is wasted.
No, no, nothing whatsoever. I thought it was a cute movie back when Disney was doing these cute like movies, Eisner era films, which was really good, fun family films with a message that they weren't banging you over the head with, but they just let the story exposition go. So Joaquin Phoenix, his character, it was just funny when he goes from this like really, really arrogant um young Inuit young man to someone who's been transformed through this to understand the other side of what's going on. So it's again that case of when you make it that big in Hollywood, then you gotta do a voiceover for for a Disney film. And yes, I did get this movie on DVD because I thought it was really cute. So I had to have it. But going
That's
from cute
wonderful.
to Hmm?
I got to watch this
Oh,
one, Lorraine.
yeah, it's a cute one. It's a cute one. Uh, Not to get political, but I will. Back when you could, leave your kids in front of a Disney movie, it's okay to leave them in front of this one. They might get a little scared, but not because it's
We'll be
something they don't understand.
we'll be all
Okay.
right. We'll be all right. If I have to put it that
Yes.
way.
Big, big, big,
They
big
come back, they're like,
difference.
Mommy, I saw, and then this happened, and oh my God. And it's like, oh, okay.
What?
That good stuff, that good kind of can't wait to tell you all the good stuff we saw kind of
Yes.
reaction.
Yes. That kind of thing. So again, fun, very heartwarming. Joaquin Phoenix. It's a big talent when you can use that talent to do a voiceover, but people forget that that's Joaquin Phoenix and they just see the character, and it's just fun. It's a fun, sweet movie to watch. But we'll go from what was a sweet movie to watch to one of, I swear this movie needs to be in the top 10 toxic male films of all time, and that would be Gladiator.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my goodness. I did not watch this movie for the acting talent, although the acting talent was stellar with Russell Crowe. Are you not entertained? Dang. It was wonderful.
It was glorious, and certainly this and his other Russell Crowe's other film, Master and Commander, between
Wonder.
those two films, made me want to start to talk about entertainment and the spectacle of entertainment, especially in the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire matters. This is why I got into talking about this era and enjoyed it and loved it. And we also had, artists like Enya singing songs about Boudica and, these beautiful, sweeping performances of someone who had to carry this entire thing. And the idea that Joaquin Phoenix is going to play this bad guy who's not ashamed. He's not ashamed. He's going to fuck his sister. He's not ashamed. He's not ashamed. He's going to cause all sorts of shit. He is not ashamed. He is who he is. And I think that's why people watch it, because you get these characters who are like, I don't care. That's how it's going to be. That's how it's going down. It was very much like Game of Thrones? Game of Thrones.
Very much so.
The audacity of it all, the boldness of it all. He doesn't care. He's perfectly willing to go in there and fight and get a knife in his back. He doesn't care. Nobody gives a goddamn. They're going to go, this is how you're living your life. It's going to go down this way. Even if it is not historically accurate, we do not care. This was entertainment, Lorraine, as you said. It was entertaining, and I remember thinking, this shit is hot, man. This was the excitement, the passion. We want to see stories like this. We want dramatizations like this. We do know it's not historically accurate. We don't care. This was beautiful. If you can go ahead and give us a story, a well-written story, a well-executed story. Johnson, I can't remember this man's name. You know who I'm talking about. His friend, Johnson Sanu. I always say his name wrong. He looked beautiful.
Jaimin Hansu?
Yes, he looked beautiful in this film.
Yes,
you had men that were just so stunning and attractive. And he came in there. He was like, he's so freaking exotic in this. And he talks about his family. And it was just really, you just really got a sense of that masculinity of these guys that just oozing this testosterone and all the passion and just the fantasy of it all, just not knowing where their lives were going to go. There was a lot of this. He knew, obviously, as Maximus, he knew what this meant, but there were all these other people who were kind of corralled together and had no choice but to fight for sport. And, it was just a wonderful thing. They had so much chemistry together. And Commodus is like, yeah, I may be smaller than you and not as popular than you, but I'm in charge. I'm in charge. And it was good. And he was just like, I'll do whatever I want, bitch. It was just, I'm do what I want. It was just so good. And Joaquin looked so beautiful in this. I mean, even he was smoking hot. It's like he knew he was hot. This character playing Commodus knew he was hot. He was like, I don't care. I'm in charge. This is how it's going to go down, bro. And just the whole thing, it was just amazing. It still looks great. And of course, was it Hans Zimmer who did the music? I can't remember who did it, but that was wonderful. I think Hans Zimmer made a joke about, he didn't have time to do a lot of stuff. And then they said, would you do for Gladiator? He's like, yeah, I have time or something. I could be wrong. That might be an interview for
you. I'm going to look, because next to John Williams is the GOAT when it comes to musical scores. Hans Zimmer is the heir apparent. So I love
and he's
his
so modest about it and shit. Like Hans is like, well, yeah, they approached me and I said, okay, I have time to do Gladiator. I have time to do that sound. And you're like, thank God you did. And the woman who sings the song I Am Free, that song, I think I can't remember, she might be Iranian or something, but it's like a beautiful song about I am free, and of course it's being free. You're no longer under Gladiator, you don't have to be Gladiator anymore, but it was just such a beautiful song in it, and it felt like a place and a time long ago, which it was, not a galaxy far, far away, but it felt like this time and era that has long passed ago and it's gone, and I am free, no, that's more like Les Miserables, but but the music really, it got you into this thing and this time, and it's almost as if they cast a spell over you for the 2 hours of the movie, and then they're gone, and you're like, oh, I'm in Gladiator withdrawal. Oh my God, it's over. Oh no, that's what this film felt like.
It sure was. This film, it was literally embodied the sport and the glory of being a gladiator. I mean, yes, they took some serious historical liberties with this film, but It's like I tell people, if you are looking to Hollywood to teach you history, you get what you deserve. No, no. Hollywood is there to entertain your ass. And if anything, it should make you want to go back and find out what actually happened in history. But Gladiators, it was a privilege to be, to be a gladiator. They were the, like, say, the football players, the MMA players, MMA fighters of today. And yeah, I know I'm kind of getting a little information, but
No, no,
let's
you're
put it to you
right.
this way, because this is why I bring up this whole thing about toxic masculinity. Gladiators were held in such esteem that they would use like olive oil, like cleanse their bodies with, and have like this like blade to scrape it off. Roman noble women would pay for that and use it as like a beauty cream. I mean, yeah, gladiators. Well, they kind of, well, we'll say Deuce Bigelow, male gigolo too. Put that in there, but that is how they were held. That's the esteem that they were held at. That was the arena where the strongest fought to survive. And again, with the Roman bread and circuses, the circuses were actually in the Colosseum with gladiators. So Commodus, man, he was a real a-hole, and I loved it.
Yes.
Because these people, I don't know where people get the idea that a lot of the Roman senators and a lot of the Romans, especially up near, if you were, Caesar, before Caesar, were these benevolent people. They weren't always that benevolent.
Right. Right.
So yeah, I liked how they portrayed that, and Joaquin Phoenix did a real good performance. It's a good performance, and you're just like, I freaking hate this character. I don't know why, but I just hate him.
He was a badass, and we were supposed to not like him. And I think that the fact that we had that feeling towards him showed a lot. Obviously, we needed to see this. We needed to see this experience, and there was no other way to show it to us. What an incredible performance everyone gave in this film, and certainly, I think that he, uh, the idea that Joaquin Phoenix does end up playing, let's say the bad guys often, is not because it has nothing to do with him. He's just a fantastic actor. You need someone who can pull this off. It can't be just anybody who can do this. And I think if you want to learn about the actual Roman Empire, if you're someone who has to watch something that's not a drama, go ahead and watch Rise of Empires, the Roman Empire on Netflix.
Yes.
You can learn all the truth about what happened and realize that everything is, Caligula got a bad deal, like he was held prisoner for a good portion of his life and then had to kill people so he wasn't prisoner anymore. Like he had to fight for his stuff. That you want the real thing, go ahead and do that. But for the rest of us who want Bridgerton or who want Gladiator, this is the type of stuff that it needs to look like. It needs to look like this. It needs to have a presentation like this. We need to be, swept off our feet by the danger of Commodus. He was dangerous. And, in the end, everybody, like, no one survived. This wasn't, what I would necessarily call a happy ending. It was, they were really damned in a sense. And oftentimes that was the end result. In a lot of these Roman these Roman leaders who would end up. Yes. 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 And it is very interesting when we're looking at this. Of course, it's the Roman Empire, and it's just one of the many stories that people are enjoying now. But I think Joaquin shined in this. He shined in this.
He absolutely did. And when people before Joker, so many people would talk about his performance in Gladiator. I mean, it's just man, it was absolutely amazing. But there's another film that I did not realize that Joaquin Phoenix was in, and it's actually one of my favorite Don Cheadle films, and that would be Hotel Rwanda. This movie, oh my gosh, well, this obviously is not the one But I guess he's talking about this is the role, literally, that put him on the map with Hollywood, was his performance in Hotel Rwanda.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he won if he didn't win it, Sophie Okonedo won and maybe the award. But yeah, of course, it's the story of saving people's lives simply by able to say that they're guests at this hotel, and it's terrifying. This is certain areas in the world where people are hiding in swamps to avoid getting killed. And it's just something as simple as saying yes, they're a guest here can save their lives. It's just remarkable that you could do that. But even they, I think, slept probably with like a gun under their pillow, thinking at any minute someone was going to come in there and kill them all. It's such a horrifying and terrifying time, and they haven't truly recovered from it at all. So it was bold to make a movie about this. No one really likes to pay attention to this area of the world, as Leonardo DiCaprio is always telling us. With Blood Diamond, he's like, nobody cared about Blood Diamond. Nobody cared about this stuff. But, thank God to these directors who are willing to go ahead and put in the time to go ahead and make these stories. Because if not, no one's going to read about this. No one's going to open up a book and try and figure out what happened in Rwanda 20 years ago. But you can watch Hotel Rwanda and get a good idea of what they were up against. So you are right about those performances, Lorena. You're absolutely right.
They were stellar. I remember Joaquin Phoenix's performance in this, where he's documenting everything, getting all of this on camera, and just documenting just the absolute terror that was going on with Rwanda. And I'm trying to remember what he said. I think what he said was, it's like, we have this recorded, so the world can't deny the atrocity that happened here. And remember, we were seeing like all of, the film, all the captures that were coming out of what was going on with Rwanda. So they couldn't like cover it up and say, oh no, nothing happened here. Oh no, plenty happened there. So do yourself a favor, definitely watch Hotel Rwanda. Both, Don Cheadle's performance in it, Joaquin Phoenix's performance in it. It's great. It's absolutely great. Again, they take a little bit of dramatic license when it comes to, the events, but for the most part, the crux of what happened is there, and why it was so important to document this for the world. So I give him a lot of props between Don Cheadle and between Joaquin Phoenix for being in this film.
Yeah, absolutely. They didn't have to do this film. I think it was an independent film, right, Lorena?
Yes, it was, because it wasn't a movie that Hollywood necessarily wanted to touch. You're talking about an African genocide, and not for nothing, but there wasn't really a lot of attention put towards Rwanda, even from our own government back in that period of time, to denounce what was going on. The UN didn't even really seem like they wanted to pay attention. They wanted to pay attention to it, but this story got out. You had an independent production that did that, and between the performances that were in it, they were undeniable. I think this one was this at Sundance?
I don't remember.
Oh, the Toronto International Film Festival. That's what it was. It was one of those film festivals where, you know how it goes. It's like it shows up at Sundance, it shows up, at a film festival, because that's where the Hollywood people are shopping and people are looking for their films to get showcased. Word of mouth caught on about this, and it caught fire. Nick Nolte was in it too, as the Canadian peacekeeper. Well, UN peacekeeper, but he was with Canada, and he was just horrified by all this stuff that was going on. And basically, I'll never forget this line. He basically said, in so many words, you guys aren't American black, so the world doesn't care.
Yeah.
I was like, damn.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's very true. And it's true. There was no attention on this. And
none.
So I'm so glad that there were, it won awards. It certainly deserved it, and it certainly did bring attention to the issue. And as I said, it's still a very bad situation for many of them, still recovering from the atrocities that occurred during that time. That just horrendous things that happened to people that you would not expect to happen in a modern age. So, um, just just such a great and well done film.
I'm glad they kept this quote because I kind of wanted to show this. So Paul, of course, that's Joaquin Phoenix's character. No, Paul. That's the band that the story Hotel Rwanda is around, and says, "I'm glad you shot this footage and that the world will see it. It's the only way we have a chance that people might intervene." And Jack says, "Yeah, and if no one intervenes, it's still a good thing to show." And Paul says, "Well, how can they not intervene when they witness such atrocities?" And he says, "I think if people see this footage, they'll say, 'Oh my God, that's horrible,' and then go on eating their dinners." And he said, "So what the hell do I know?"
Yeah, yeah, that is yes, yeah. And I think it's very dangerous for them to even be there and shoot the footage, equally
Very.
dangerous as trying to fight back. It was, just I can't even believe I would have been terrified.
It was, oh, you gotta see it. You have to kind of psych yourself up in a way to see it. I was not prepared for the gut punch that I got when when I saw the film. I mean, I'm glad I did, but I'm like, whoo,
Yeah,
that sucker was rough. It
yeah,
was it was
it's
a rough film, but a necessary film.
very rough, and of course, and for to be honest with you, things got so out of hand in that country. And I hope this all made a difference for the people. I mean, I know that things have changed a little bit, but it's hard to forget those things that happened, so many years ago, so 20 years ago or so.
Mhm.
It's just devastating to these families and people. And I just, it's an unimaginable experience.
Yeah, it so is. But we'll get to the last film, which I am still trying to get to see, and
There
that
is
would
there is
be
one more, Lorraine. I do want
Napoleon.
to just say something quick about Walk the Line. Have you seen him play Johnny Cash?
No,
You
and
gotta see
dang it,
you
I
gotta
heard about that film. I heard about Walk the Line, and I did not get a chance to see it.
He plays such a
First of
great
all,
Johnny Cash.
I
Lorraine, you
love the
love
story
it.
of Johnny Cash.
Yeah, you will love
I
it.
do.
This is a film I think maybe shows his musical ability as well as I think he does a lot of the singing. I don't know all the details. I can't remember all the details, but I think he does a lot of the
Is
singing
this
in
the
it.
one? Oh, the one with Reese Witherspoon. Yeah.
Yeah,
This is the one I
excellent
wanted to see.
on-screen chemistry. He's wonderful. She plays June Carter Cash so well, and there's a lot of romance and singing, and you just really love it. Starts off where he's playing for prisoners, of course, which he was famous for, the Man in Black.
Folsom County.
Folsom County Prison. That's right. And he, playing for these prisoners, he says, I wanted my next album to be at a prison. It's unheard of. No one was doing shit. They don't do that now. But the idea that he would be so daring, rather than the good Lord has given me the light to see the day, like he could sing those kinds of songs, or he could say, I've killed a man in Reno and
And
then I
I
went
shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. I said,
to
oh, and
I'm
now
like,
when I'm here and I
wow.
hang my head and cry when he hears like the whistle from the train, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
And that is literally like those lyrics.
The rap of its day,
Um,
if you will, maybe in some cases. The
Yeah, I mean, it's so good that, check out, Everlast's coverage, his cover, well, let's say his interpretation of, this song, because he redid
Yes,
it.
yes,
Everlast from, oh my gosh, why am
from the
I,
grunge era?
no, oh gosh, Jump Around, I cannot
Oh, yeah,
believe
yeah, yeah, I know who you those guys are.
I can't believe I'm forgetting who the group
Okay.
is. That's a darn shame. I feel like my pop culture past should be House of Pain. Okay, it just hit me. Just hit
Jump
me. House of
around,
Pain.
jump
Yes,
around.
yes, House of Pain.
Love
So
it.
Everlast
Love it.
from
Yeah.
House of from House of Pain um redid this song. You have to see the video where his performance is transposed with Johnny Cash's
Wow.
performance. So, man, I have really got to, I've got to see this because
This is
Johnny Cash, I mean,
yeah.
my parents had Johnny Cash's music. Now, granted, not for nothing, but as a rule, yeah, black people we don't really listen to a lot of country. But there were I want to say two country stars that no one would, look down on you for having. One would be Dolly Parton,
Yes,
and the
absolutely.
other one would be Johnny Cash.
Mhm. And Johnny was just shines in this role. Joaquin Phoenix captures Johnny Cash. I believed I was watching Johnny Cash, and I've watched Johnny Cash perform a lot. He's performed a lot on television. He's had a lot of hits that have gone mainstream. And certainly, we know what Johnny Cash looks like because he's been alive for a good portion of our lives, Lorena.
Mm-hmm.
You know what this man looks like. I felt like I was watching Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash on this. And this might have been, honestly, Reese Witherspoon's best performance of her career. They were wonderful together. He was sexy. He was hot. He was a bad guy. Like he wanted, looks like he was like, come on, let's go and do this. Come on. She's like, I am divorced. I can't just go out there. That is a song I sang with my ex-husband. I can't get up there and sing that with you. And he's like, come on, let's do it. And it's like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. All right, let's do it. That song, let's go, time's a wasting. They just had so much chemistry on this, and it was a wonderful film. He had struggles with drug addiction and with it was just really so well done. You really learned about Johnny Cash. You got to hear all his great songs. Joaquin Phoenix is a superstar in this. He really outdid himself in this as well. This is another splendid performance. It's like the anti-Joker. He was in this one. He's just remarkable. I love him in this. So Lorena, you've got to see this film and let me know what you think.
I have to. It's one of those films where as soon as I saw like the trailer for it, I'm like, oh my God, he looks exactly like Johnny Cash. And when she's describing, what his music is like, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much what it is. I wanted to see this. So I have to put this on my list to see. It's one of those films where you're like, I want to see it and I meant to see it, but I didn't get a chance to see it. And it's one of those larger than life type of performances, just like with the Elvis film. But yeah, it's like he looks looks like Johnny Cash.
He looks dead on like Johnny Cash. It does remind me a lot of Elvis. Of course, it wasn't directed by Baz, so it doesn't have that flashiness to it.
Yeah.
And Johnny Cash didn't do the hip shaking, as you and I both know, he didn't do the hip shaking. He was a smoldering, freaking hot singer. He didn't do the hip shaking though, but he was smoking hot. Like he got up there and he was like, just
with
went
his
after everything.
voice.
Yes, Lorena,
with his voice and with his unique style of playing the guitar.
Yeah. I know Elvis could not survive in prison the way Johnny Cash did. Like that wasn't going to happen.
Elvis was too pretty to go to prison, but he was too pretty to go to prison. But Johnny Cash, he had, he was about that life. He had that life. So I honestly believe that recording that song in the prison put him in the mindset of what would it be like to sing of the regrets that you have being in prison. So man, I just got to watch just to see that scene like recreated, because when I found out that was actually filmed in a prison, that just like grabbed me. And I didn't know that particular Johnny Cash song until Everlast did the cover.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm like, wait, he did what? How come I didn't hear the song? And I went back and heard the original. I'm like, dang, that is. And it was so cool because he was dressed just like Johnny Cash and literally put Folsom Blues with a hip hop track to it. And it lines up freaking perfectly. But anyway, I have got to go see this.
You've got to see it. He's the original Man in Black. He's the OG Man in Black, Lorena.
Oh, man. Okay. Yeah. Yet another one I got to put on the pile. I think I'm going to put that on the 4K Blu-ray pile. I think they better have one. They better have one. So getting back to the other film,
Yeah.
which is Napoleon. This was a film that I was trying to say and and did not get a chance to see it. Napoleon is one of those historical figures that fascinates me. The United States owes a lot of its existence to what this man did and didn't do, which a lot of people don't know about. But there is just something about Napoleon, whether it be history or whether it be pop culture. There is just something about him that people just gravitate to. So you have seen the film. So why don't you give us your we'll say non-spoiler for right now, but your impressions of the film and just from a historical point of view, how it lines up with history.
All right. So, and I think I probably should say this, and Lorena, you already know this because I've said this to you a number of times when it comes to history and films. And, I think that if the director decides to make what you and I both call a biopic, like in Prometheus about Oppenheimer, and we know that it's a biopic and it's based off of a book that was based off of a biography that won a Pulitzer Prize. So it was truly based off of accurate material off of the individual. Then we're expecting a biopic to be true to, the person's life. Now, it just so happens that this version of Napoleon is more sort of like an artistic impression of what Napoleon may or may not have been like. And quite a bit of what's in it is not historically accurate. And I'm not bothered by that at all. I don't care. Just like with Gladiator, Lorena, you and I were just saying, we know it's not historically accurate, but it was entertaining. And that's what I care about. For me, I do respect when people do point out that something is not historically accurate. I get it. Like, I'm not saying that it's wrong to point that out. But for me, as I said, I don't care. I want to be entertained. If the movie is entertaining, if it's a beautifully made film and it is not historically accurate, I'm fine with it. I want to have that passion. I want to have the fun with the film. But unfortunately, this film had some things that I didn't care for. And to be honest with you, the main thing that I didn't care for in the film, and this has nothing to do with Joaquin Phoenix. He did a great performance. He was doing exactly what he was asked to do by the director. So I do want to point that out. But there are certain scenes in there, and Lorena, that Napoleon is one of the most popular characters in history of all time. And as you said, or someone else was saying, it's the entire Napoleonic era that's named after him. Napoleonic Wars, he was an incredible person. He was attractive. Maybe he was a little awkward, but so be it, whatever. Maybe he was not exactly as smooth as a Casanova, but he certainly didn't have a problem getting women into bed. He's had many children and all this stuff. So, there were most of the intimate scenes that I saw between he and Josephine pretty much were not what I would consider valuable intimacy for an epic that's supposed to be so amazing, so entertaining, so mesmerizing. And yes, of course, the sex scenes are very important to me. And what I found is that the sex scenes in this movie mainly consisted of Joaquin Phoenix and Vanessa Kirby having jackhammer sex with their clothes on. And I was like, yeah, I can't erase the memory of the jackhammer sex from my eyes. Like, I wish I could just do this and not see it. But I was hoping to see, what I wanted to see was a Napoleon who was so prolific in writing letters, who was so romantic, so charismatic, where the entire world practically fell in love with this guy. I wanted to see her say, well, I'm not really in love with you, Napoleon. And he'd be like, come on, girl. Come on, girl. Come on, girl. And I wanted him to seduce the fuck out of me while I was watching this film. I wanted to fall in love with this man. I wanted to go in there, be like, oh, he's okay. Yeah, I know he's a general and everything. And I wanted to be like, I've got to have this man. I wish I could find a Napoleon in my life. that did not happen. There was no romance in it, Lorena. There was no real nudity in it. There was no beautiful love scenes between. I wanted to see Joaquin Phoenix nude. I wanted to see him nude in this. I wanted to see maybe Vanessa Kirby. If she didn't want to do it, it's okay. But I wanted to see Joaquin Phoenix, this buck ass naked in this. And even if she's like, no, I don't want to do that, he'd be like, come on, girl, I got you. And then at the end, he's crying for more. That's what I wanted to see. And if it wasn't just Vanessa Kirby, whatever, any other woman that came across his way, he could conquer that. So I wanted to see that passion, that love. He wrote these incredible letters. He was a passionate person. I wanted to see all that passion. I love you, Josephine. You're the one. I'd do anything for you. I'm going to conquer the world for you. I'm going to do it all for you. I wanted to see that kind of Napoleon. And I didn't see that, right? So, like it was kind of like, not exactly. They have the scene where they get a divorce, and that's like the most passionate part between them. But even that is very lackluster and unfulfilling. And then, so then there's a lot of scenes where he almost sounds like, a very stubborn child, and it comes off. I have never seen a historical comedy about Napoleon, but that's what this is. It's a historical comedy about Napoleon, this movie. And there are comedic scenes, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but this is not a funny story. Like there's no humor. This isn't one of those, oh, how funny. No, like this was a very serious era in the world. And certainly it was nothing to that. This is a movie about passion and this love affair that the world has had with Napoleon. As far as I'm concerned, that's what the film should be. But I didn't get that vibe either. And finally, at the end, the most important battle, let's say, of Napoleon's life, Waterloo. I'm not an expert I'm not a historical expert in Napoleon. I never have been. I'm not ever going to be a historical expert in Napoleon. And I'm not claiming to be. I just put that out there. I will never be. But Lorena, the Battle of Waterloo is the most important battle that he fought, let's say, or one of the most important. There's so many battles that needed to be emphasized of how important this battle was. So you kind of they're like, oh, it's the Battle of Waterloo, and then it's over. And I realized that.
Wait, what? That fast?
It felt like that. And when you watch it, you'll see what I mean. I got the impression that the director wanted this to be a character analysis of Napoleon. However, even if it was, let's say, a positive, a negative, a neutral character analysis of Napoleon,
right?
You would get these sort of awkward scenes where Napoleon would do something, and you would say, that's kind of weird. And then right after that, someone would be like, we love you, Napoleon. You are the greatest. You are the greatest man in Napoleon. And I'm like, okay. And then there would be like a bad scene. And then these kids would be like, oh, we love you, Napoleon. We even though we're not French, we love you. And then there'll be like another scene where even his old soldiers are like, they order the army, go kill Napoleon. You go kill him. And the guy's like, fuck no, man. We love this guy. This is my homie. Hell no, I'm not killing. Kiss my ass, bro. We are always on his side. So it's like a very odd kind of film because I wanted to be seduced by Joaquin Phoenix. I wanted him to seduce me to where I was like Napoleon all the way. I'm getting a tattoo of Napoleon on my arm. That's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not get that, Lorena. I didn't even get a decent love scene. I at least needed to have one love scene. I wanted to see him sucking on Vanessa Kirby's titties. That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see all that good stuff. I wanted to see Joaquin Phoenix just slam that shit. But I did not get that. So it's okay. I'm okay. I'm an adult. I can handle this. So I like, it was kind of like waiting for that moment where you want this guy to put his arm around you and do something, and he does nothing. This is what it felt like. But
yeah,
I'm okay. I'm all right. His age did actually distract from this a little bit. And I said that perhaps the early casting could have been something like Timothée Chalamet and Clément Posey. Those two would have been hot together. And then later on, it could have been like, let's say, Battle of Waterloo. Maybe you have Joaquin Phoenix come in here and kick ass, or, get in there with Vanessa Kirby and do some shit. But it needed to, it would have been interesting seeing Timothée Chalamet's face after he gets an army of men behind him and he's there. A lot of it, he looked a little old, and I admit it. He looks kind of too old for this, but it could have been a combination. There would have been nothing wrong with having two men play this role, Lorena. There would have been nothing wrong with it. So. Right. Yeah. And then Joaquin Phoenix could have driven that shit home in Waterloo and just it could have been something very different. I think a lot of people will watch it and enjoy it, but overall, like cinematography wise, it was good and the costumes are beautiful. Joaquin Phoenix is good in it. But I think that, a sexless Napoleon is something that I don't advise anybody watching.
And I have to shake my head because that's something that you would expect. We talk about the love letters that were written between Napoleon and Josephine. They were notoriously steamy. I mean, folks, they didn't have social media back then. They didn't have email back then. That's why love letters that were written were cherished so much. And especially with this dude, that's something that I would expect to see. That's something that I saw, and I don't remember when it came out, but I do remember that there was a miniseries about Napoleon and Josephine. I cannot
Armand
remember.
Desante and Jacqueline Bisset. And Armand
Oh,
Desante
hell yeah.
was smoldering on the screen. I said,
He
what is he?
crushed that.
I remember I saw the advertisements, Lorena, and I was like, why is he in that? And then I saw it and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
He so wants to go down on this chick right now. Like,
I remember that. That's one of, again, that's a pop culture icon. That romance between Napoleon and Josephine. That's I want to say, I'm forgetting what the heck it's what it's actually called. And my English teacher right now is just like, daggone it. I taught you better than that.
About. Yes. I mean, Armand Desante looked like he was going to rip Jacqueline Bisset's panties off with his teeth. Like it was, I was like, I'm like, they must be hanging out after work. They must be like, something's going on here because this stuff is hot. Like it was, Armand Desante was like, I got you, babe. He's as hot as Antonio Banderas in the right setting.
Oh Lord, that's a tall order because daggone it. Yeah, okay.
That's
going to be another show.
Armand Desante was older when he played that role. However, he played a man who was a lover.
Yes,
he wanted to, and he loved Jacqueline Bisset. If that was like an R-rated film, we would have seen nudity in that. Like, it would have gone all the way.
We totally would have.
But I'm okay. I'm an adult. I can handle this.
It's like it's almost a shame, but again, I'm looking forward to seeing it, especially as these historical, we'll say historical fictionalized films tend to do pretty well because it harkens back to an era where women could be women, men could be men, and relationships between men and women, and especially when it comes to those traditional masculine traits. It was expected for you to go out there and conquer in whatever, way that you could. And granted, people keep telling me it's an urban legend or whatever, but when it came to Napoleon's stature,
they don't name a whole era after you haven't done shit.
No. Exactly. He
wasn't King Edward where he was born into that shit. It wasn't the adored era thing. He made this the Napoleonic era. He did it all on his own. And the whole time while he was on the battlefield, he's like, what am I going to do to Josephine when I see her next?
Yep.
I'm going to be doing all this cool shit to you. Fire. And then like,
send this. Tell her I said be ready when I show up. I may even do the courtesy of keep my boots on. We'll see. That's what we expect from that type of thing. You go and conquer, you get the girl. That's how, and that's how that's supposed to work. Okay.
It would have been hot. I think although Vanessa Kirby is an excellent actress and she was great in The Crown. Remember, she played that role where she was having the affair with Peter Townsend, and that was smoking hot. I was expecting a little bit of that, like, let's get it on. But I think if Clement Posey and Timothée Chalamet were doing this, and where she was kind of like, treating him like he was almost a cub, and she was, the I guess like the MILF, she's which she was.
Mhm.
That would have been very interesting because it would have kind of has that sense of him if we really
Right.
want to look at it from that point of view, and men like MILF. So why not go ahead and let's celebrate that? But we didn't get that because it didn't have that feel because Joaquin Phoenix feels so much older than Vanessa Kirby
Mhm.
that you didn't get that, kind of sense of what was going on. But that's how I also kind of view it. This is
Mhm.
the older woman, younger man, and he's just so incredibly in love with her, and it's, yeah, but we didn't get the hotness. We didn't get the hotness. Someone's going to make something, Lorena. Sometimes they make an episode. Steven Spielberg is doing one. Steven, give me some nudity, please. Just two decent love scenes. That's all I'm asking. Just, yes, give me a dangerous liaison. So let's just go all the way with this. And let's just go ahead and be truthful about sex during the Napoleonic era.
Because that, yeah,
So that's
they
my
were getting it in. Exactly.
so that's
Exactly.
my thing. And Josephine is from Martinique, and my family's from
Yes.
Martinique. So, like I know, I think that just Vanessa Kirby did a good job, but Clement Posey would have been a more accurate woman to play Josephine, in my opinion.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay,
Mhm.
I'll have to look up what she because I've probably seen her, but I can't place a name to her. So this is great. Joaquin Phoenix, love his performances. Definitely check out his body of work. I definitely could not wait for Gladiator 2 to eventually come out. And yes, I cannot believe. Please don't revoke my pop culture card.
What?
Um, there is the next Joker movie. Oh yeah, I know why I blocked it out. Something about Lady Gaga being in it, and they were gonna
This
make
is
it more of like a musical or something like that.
this is Clement Posey, and I think she's 45, maybe 50 now. And
Oh, okay.
and she, I guess maybe they changed her hair color a little bit because I think Josephine had brown hair. But her with Timothy Chalamet, perfect.
Hmm,
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see
It would
that.
have been very different feel to the film. A very different feel. Timothy,
Mm-hmm.
like, thank God, thank you, God, I get to play with Clement. And he'd be like, but in a very professional way, of course. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Of course. Of course.
but I have a picture. I mean, like this is not really true. This is not historically accurate version, but these are the pictures that they have of, let's say, the real Napoleon, what he looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Joaquin Phoenix, when he was younger, looked like this. And and I think that's true. But here's Josephine. She looks very different. Maybe she does look like Vanessa Kirby. There's Josephine.
Mm,
Hmm.
something's a little off.
So you think Vanessa Kirby, who plays a role, you don't think she maybe was a good Josephine?
Yeah, I don't. I can see why. I think why they hired her because of the name, but it's like, but if I look at facial casting, I'm like, no, Joaquin Phoenix, yeah, perfect,
Mm.
perfect. But for Josephine, I'm just like,
And there's a lot of
mm-mm.
actresses they could have picked. A lot of, let's say, for all practical purposes, a lot of French actresses they could have picked.
Yes,
I don't think the
yes,
French were terribly happy with this version of Napoleon.
and I can't say I blame them.
So
I can't say I blame them. And the 5% of myself that is French, I don't blame them either for being pissed off. Well, folks, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We love doing this show and so glad you guys have been tuning in to us. So please do let the folks know where they can find you.
guys, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Positive Fandom, where I do all the parlay on the fandom on my Sunday brunch show on Sundays. You can also find me on the Burn Network as well, where I am reviewing For All Mankind. I'm also reviewing, what else am I reviewing? You and I are reviewing The Crown together, Lorena, on Positive Fandom. You can find me here on Reina Creole's channel as well. That's what I've been up to. And just so glad that we're back on Toxic Male Appreciation, Lorena. Joaquin Phoenix is a fantastic actor. And I love talking about him every single minute of the show.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely. You're welcome. I'm gonna forever see him as Commodore. Dang, I love that freaking. Oh, love that rule. Oh, love that rule. Well, folks, as for myself, of course, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on YouTube for various live streams and videos about pop culture, sci-fi, and of course, keeping it real when it comes to theme parks. Of course, you're also going to start to see more watch parties and videos with her and myself. I know I've been missing from Ladies of the PGS, and it's been killing me, but I will be back in about 2 weeks. So I am looking forward to rejoining the show. It's been missed y'all so very much. So please do subscribe to her. Please do subscribe to myself. Make sure you hit that like button, and we will see you next time. You men stay toxic. Bye.